Good afternoon, everyone. I welcome you all to this webinar conducted by Automation Anywhere and Team Computers. I'm your host for the hour, Sana Mishra, Marketing Manager, Team Computers. Friends, we have a very interesting topic lined up for you today, and we are happy to host a panel of knowledgeable and insightful speakers amongst us. Before we begin, I would like to wish you good health, safe passage during these unprecedented times. Now, let me quickly introduce you to the speakers we would have on the discussions today. Mr. Jatin Shawn, Director, Team Digital Engineering, Team Computers. Mr. Sumit Pathak, Digital Workforce Evangelist, IMEA Automation Anywhere. Mr. Stephen Raffel would be joining us in a moment, Head of Financial Shared Services, FL Smith. A warm welcome to all our panelists and to our audience who have joined us today. So without any further ado, let's start our first speaker, Mr. Jatin Shawn. So over to you.
So as team, we are basically, if you look at in team, we are categorized in three areas, which basically takes care of think, build, and operate. On the think side, for team, it's a pan-India operations with 1,200 crore company, very stabilized, a CAGR of close to around 30% year on year. And key areas where we are focusing is basically talking about software development, analytics, hardware, infrastructure support, all kind of IT solutions end to end. Our team is providing to 1,000 plus customers with around 3,000 employees pan India. While on the think side, we partner with our customer on a digital journey and participate on various fronts with respect to looking at analytics as one side, where talking about data, doing all ETL activities and bring out the data models and build visualizations, build dashboards, reports, kind of a work. And also look at advanced analytics with the predictive analytics and data visualizations we've been doing for many years now. And currently, a lot of buzz is around big data and data is like across everywhere. And so we look at the data which is on-prem or in-house data with our ERPs and CRM and SCM systems, but data which is external to us, but it's at arm's length or it's part of our ecosystem. And looking at big data solutions, IoT and smart factories solutions that we provide to our customers. So look at robotic process automation is one area where we're going to talk about RPA in a while. On the build part, we are looking at how do we provide the end user devices, services, as we call as digital plumbing, and partner with almost all the IT service providers and help customers build digital workspaces by end user commuting, mobility, desktop, laptops, printers, and also building command centers for them. On the third side, where we're looking at operate, where we are helping our customers not just by building the infrastructure for them, but also helping them supporting the infrastructure by various IT operations. It may be through break-fix support, AMC support, facility management services, managed services, and also through remote infrastructure management services, basically which helps you to reduce your costs overall and provide better IT service operations. On the process automation side, we have beautifully designed the entire roadmap. This is something we are doing internally for ourselves and also for our customers, where we engage with our customer with, first of all, identifying what are the various needs of various businesses and functions with respect to their challenges, how have they envisioned their own functions, and what are the various processes which are involved in their organizations, and map it. So while we identify and define the various business needs and priorities, we start capturing in a beautiful template. And after we engage with the various business teams, look at various processes across various business teams and identify which are the needs which we have to take in the priority. Generally क्या होता है, हम list out तो बहुत सारा कर लेते हैं, but ये समझ में नहीं आता start कहाँ से करें. So which process should we take now, which process should we take tomorrow, and so on and so forth. So we have taken an approach of feasibility impact study. So look at which are the processes which needs to be addressed, how feasible they are. So when we say high feasible, that means it is easy to implement. If it is low in feasibility, it means it is difficult to implement. It may be with respect, sometimes we have to put time as a dimensions and look at, okay, it is difficult to implement, but it might take not much time. Or sometimes it is very easy to implement, but it's a hell lot of a process and it might take almost 12 months down the line. So you might have to classify your feasibility with high, medium, and low, and then look at the impact of that process. That if I implement that process, what would be the overall impact to the organization? Probably, if we don't go at the organization level, we can look at a functional level as well. How relevant, how impactful that process would be. So classify same way, high, medium, and low, the impact part as well. Once we have done that, then look at high feasibility and high impact area and start the work. Slowly and gradually move towards identifying, once we have delivered this, and then we move to defining the roadmap for 1 year, 3 year, and 5 years, and look at the outcomes. What are the final outcomes that we have basically provided to our customers, to our company. So this is something we are doing internally, and we have almost listed out close to around 30 odd processes in less than 5 days, and the work has already started, and it has given us a good direction that how do we really start the work and how do we end the work, and over the period of time keep measuring the ROI. So that's very important. Otherwise काम तो बहुत कुछ कर लेते हैं, लेकिन प्रॉब्लम होती है कि हम उसकी ROI मेजर के लिए कोई बात करते हैं कि हम ROI मेजर करना है, लेकिन we are not able to define the key parameters, that how do we define the ROI for whatever work we have done. So we have a beautiful approach of identifying the process, looking at the feasibility impact of it, and then defining the ROI as we move along with it. So this is where we are today, and we would love to engage with all of you in this process, in your digital journey, and participate overall to serve with love. Thank you very much. Over to you, Sanam.
Thank you, sir, for this quick and brief introduction about Team Computers. Now, I would like to bring into picture Sumit for the discussion. However, before that, we have a quick questionnaire for the audience that were there, and let's see what our audience think about these questions.
Sure, Sanam.
Thank you. So we have a time of approximately 1 minute here for you guys to fill in the survey.
So where is your organization in the automation journey now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think it would also be visible to our panelists, and even you can.
Yeah, I would. Hi guys, this is Sumit here. Just like to comment on this one. I think what I have seen in the webinars which we have done from Automation Anywhere perspective in month of April and May, predominantly in India region specifically, we have seen people having a mixed spread. Either they're evaluating technology, planning, experimenting, or scaling, right? So I've always seen a mix. It'll be interesting to see what sort of results we get this time. Are you going to show the results, Sanam? Yeah.
Yes, the results are visible now.
Yeah, so I told you it's kind of a mix, right? So you have people who are 32%, 1/3 of them are evaluating technology, remaining 28% are planning and experimenting. That means they are already starting or about to start, and 32% are scaling. So 1/3 are scaling, and 20% are yet to. So it's always kind of a mix, which you get, which is great, which is good to know that we have different audience with different maturity.
Right. I'd also like to know how Jatin thinks about these topics.
Yeah, I think looks like people are more interested in looking at not just the evaluating the technology, but I think in the process of digital journey and automating their processes, experiments is something one has to really adhere to, and it's ready to fail. Kind of, the entire norms of the organization should be it's okay to fail, and that calls for an experiment, which I'm loving to see that 28% of the people are really looking at how do we plan it and experiment the process. So lovely looking at it and scaling up the RPA setup. So I see that Sumit, what you have to say on this, because most of the organizations probably they might look at some initial processes of RPA and they implement it. But what it looks like to me is they might be struggling in how do we really scale up? You know, what are the various other use cases we can bring in the RPA ecosystem?
Yeah, see, from scaling perspective, what we're going to do is you have to understand scaling from two aspects. One is in terms of uh, building, efficiency sales perspective. That's what happens usually. But then also, uh, the organizations can start looking at uh, the areas where you can provide soft benefits, right? Be compliance is one area, having customer satisfaction, having controlling the spikes specifically now during COVID. So looking at specific problem and solving them. So I think that's another definition of scaling, and we should not ignore those areas as well. Need not be always looking at a process and automating it. It's also providing a solution, and
Right.
solution can bring that scale.
Right.
Great. So we can take the results off the screen now. And Sumit, it would be over to you. Could you check if you're able to present your screen?
Yeah, sure. Just give me a second. First of all, thank you to everyone who have dialed into the presentation. Um, as we are working in the digital era, we often get some digital glitches, which we are experiencing, but I think we just got to take it with positive stride and move on. So I think I've got 20 minutes on this particular presentation. I'll quickly go through in terms of how we are looking at intelligent automation in the finance department, and then after that, I think there's a polling questions and a fireside chat. I would highly encourage everyone who have tuned in to put as many questions as possible to make it as interactive. So thank you for that. My name is Sumit Pathak, digital evangelist. I have been with Automation Anywhere for 10 months, just brief introduction from my side. Prior to joining Automation Anywhere, I was a practitioner myself. So I had set up the Center of Excellence in two global banks, in one in Australian bank, and other one is a French bank. So had a practitioner view in terms of what challenges you face while looking for use cases, deploying them, and scaling them. And in today's presentation, I'll try to bring that as well and see if I can let you leave with some meaningful takeaways. So when we look at the finance department, uh, one second, this is still in terms of, okay, yep. Look at the finance department. This meme I got from the internet. I thought it was good to start on a humor, and it really paints the picture in terms of how we see our jobs as compared to what our relatives and the society see. Right, from the accountant perspective, you can see the image of what the friends think: a busy guy trying to do a difficult job. A parents think that I'm a C-level exec. Society thinks I'm making a lot of money. My boss always thinks that he could do better. Just a child not doing that great. I think that I'm working with complex piece of information and it's too difficult, and all the tasks given to me is super complex and everything needs to be done fine. So it's writing a theory of relativity accordingly. But what I really do is many a times I get frustrated with all different types of activity which comes to my place, and the idea is that how to basically make the life easier, right? And that's where we are seeing how automation can come forth and play that role more so now because of the COVID lockdown. It has challenged us in various different ways. It has challenged us to think differently. There's more work coming through, but one great thing about the CFOs I've spoken to in the past, that many of them who have already embraced automation are still able to close their books within a week, right, of the date. So that's pretty great, and that's also helping them to take the pressure off. And that's related to my next this slide which you see, right? So we, from a Genpact survey where with CFO research, revealed that 2 out of 5 responding companies complete the quarterly general close within 1 week, right? Which means there is a gap here. Idea is that faster we need to do a faster close, and a faster close of financial number gets reported and analyzed more quickly. So if we are able to basically close it faster, you got enough time to analyze it, so you can have your next quarter. You're prepared for the next quarter. You can come with more trends and analysis and the sorts. And what we have seen is that the traditional means of benchmarking the performance in the close process is time to close, right? The closing activities, how quickly we do it, and it requires a thorough understanding of end-to-end process. And as you would know, right? I am no expert, but from what I have limited knowledge, I know is that you have to go through complex charts of accounts. Limited automation is there at the moment. Inadequate peak workload balancing is there, and which all contribute to slow closing cycles with unreliable numbers and higher cost. So how do you manage this? How do you basically streamline and do it accurately, reliably, and consistently? And we believe that RPA can accelerate and streamline the financial close process. Well, see, another point with terms of where RPA can be used within the finance function, we believe that the future of finance, up to 50% of the of manual processes are likely to get automated in the next few years. We believe if you look at few of the points highlighted or presented here on this slide, financial close process, accounts payable, fraud detection, regulatory reporting, all of these activities which are quite manual and cumbersome in nature can be automated using RPA. Right? What that will do is that it will provide you, it's called, a double benefit of providing higher accuracy, uh, scalability, reliability, but also it will create capacity for the humans to basically do far more critical activity of analyzing, understanding the trend, looking at the results with a deeper eyes, and trying to bring out the information which was always available, but the capacity was not there to deduce and to make sense of it, right? And that's very important. Plus, your error-free reporting will be quite, it's given that if you have error-free reporting from audit and compliance perspective, it becomes very, very useful as well. So few of the CFOs, when we spoke to who are our customers, and we asked them how do they see the future of finance coming through, few things which were very common in terms of theme. They said the finance will become touchless. One of the CFOs I remember categorically said that he is looking at making his organization invisible finance, right? So that's a very strong vision to have in terms of having a as less touch points as possible. Another one is in terms of the role of finance with organization largely automated will double down on business insights and service, which I spoke about, right? When you have more capacity and you have a right accurate data on a timely manner, you're able to make more sense of the data and come out with more theses and analysis and trends and understand with more deeply your market, your organizations and your segments, right? And come with more insights which were not possible earlier, even though the information was available, but not in right format and not timely either. The finance cycles we spoke about goes real time. Like CFOs are aiming to, why even wait for a day to basically close the book? If it's everything is connected, it's automated, it's streamlined, why can't we do it, close the books on the day of the day closure? Right? So why does it have to be 3 days, 4 days, and do it consistently and accurately? And the operating model, the new service delivery models will emerge. So it's not only about that you will be able to do your existing job consistently, you'll be able to do it accurately with less error. But it will create new opportunities because you will be able to, as I spoke about, you will be able to have right information, right time in front of you, and you'll be able to apply your cognitive abilities to make more sense of it by creating more avenues and options and possibilities for the organization. It could be in terms of the projection of the cost, revenues, or trends. It could be any of those. Just briefly before I move to the next slide, just to let you know about our organization, Automation Anywhere is the world's most widely deployed digital workforce platform. I'll explain to you what digital workforce platform is. But I think the most important number for me on this slide personally is at 1.7 million digital workers. Now, they are the workers who basically work relentlessly with the human workforce and help them to create that augmentation, that capacity, so that humans can do more value added activity, collecting the data, transforming it, creating those complex reports and the sorts. We've got more than 3,000 plus customers. So there's a lot of learning which we have learned over the period of time, which we have gained over a period of time. And we have put it back as part of Bot Store, which I will cover. We operate in 90 plus countries. We've got 2,400 plus workforce. And in every analyst annual report, we are the leaders in that particular, in their quadrant or their peak metrics. Moving to the next slide, as I spoke about 1.7 billion digital worker, what does that mean, right? So we believe that any organization has got three major activities to perform, and it's industry agnostic, and that's to do an activity where you're actually doing some work. It's about thinking, where you are doing some assessment, matching, analyzing, and third one is more about measuring, monitoring, and doing the statistical analysis and insights and trying to make sense of the information and the patterns and the trends, right? And that's what we call the human workforce, that doing, thinking, and insights, right? But what we are saying is, could we basically bring the automation over there and augment their capacity with the help of digital workers? So wherever it is doing of an activity, could we do RPA? And RPA could be done in a way of attended automation or unattended automation. Attended automation is fairly simple, where bots run along on the machines of humans, and they work in collaboration with humans. So if you've got any reports you're generating, the bots will fetch the details from various different systems and will present the data to you while you're trying to analyze that particular report. So it's the collaboration of that, working out of your own PC or your laptop or your machine, and it becomes bot buddy. We have seen a lot of organizations going on bot buddy program, where for each individual there is a bot available, and it's more of a colleague who is working with each other. Unattended automation is more towards doing batch runnings, trigger based automation. So if there's any activity which needs to be run overnight or a task based, you could basically trigger bots using the unattended automation mode. You need not be in the office, or you could be sleeping at the same time. Bots are basically collecting the information for you and presenting it to you when you log in next. IQBot has a capability of reading structured and unstructured text. When you get invoices, for example, in accounts payable, you need to reconcile that. You need to reconcile your purchase order with the received goods document. All of that activity could be done with the help of IQBots, which means it fast tracks the onboarding process, fast track the accounts payables and receivable process, and does it accurately, so you don't have to worry about those usual BAU transaction work. Insights, it gives the capability to measure and monitor your bots. I strongly believe that if activity cannot get measured, then there is no way to know whether it was done successfully or not. So bot insights provide that capability to measure and monitor performance of the bots at two levels. One is at the business value, in terms of you can put dollars or money or rupee to it. And the second one is in terms of the operational stats, in terms of utility of the bots, how long the bot ran, was there any challenges, the downtime, uptime, and the sorts. And the bot store, and I briefly touched upon that. Knowing 3,000 customers, we have worked very closely. A lot of learnings which are there has been put back in the bot store, which is no different than App Store of your smartphone, where we have this ready-made bots available for you for a very commonly used applications like SAP. It could be Oracle, Workday. You could download that, reconfigure a bit, and start using it for your processes with those applications. So that's the definition of digital workforce. What I spoke about in the earlier presentation, you can use the digital workforce to help the finance organization or function to basically automate the processes. And these are the few areas which you can basically target on from automation perspective, be finance, ops and accounting, be it FP&A with budget and forecasting, treasury in terms of knowing what your cash flow is, having a accurate cash flow forecast, FX exposure in that case, ops tax, we spoke about tax. So if you're able to do the tax reporting quickly, or if you're able to get the details quickly, then you can avoid any sort of a fine or any error that may lead to payment of extra money. Accounts payable, vendors setup. We know that in COVID specific situation, we have seen not only the BAU. So for example, BAU would have gone a bit lighter or quieter or slowed down from your usual activity perspective, but the new request starts to come through. If you think about the healthcare, the finance department in healthcare has been super busy because they have to take care of the the demand of the new products, right? For which they have to onboard so many different new vendors. Now, we would rather have them work on more important things rather than this activity of onboarding the vendor, looking at the details and putting it to the system. So the bots are used to basically take away that pain from them. Same in terms of account receivable as well, right? So these are some examples where you can start looking at from the automation perspective. As per the polling questions, we see around 50%, 60% of the audience are still either on or before the starting line. So I think this is a good areas for you to start with. And the ones who have already scaling, you can go deeper on these ones and also think about a solution like, is there a solution I can provide from a COVID perspective, or the future tense when the dust settles down, there would be spikes in other activities. Can I future proof myself by having the digital worker already configured in place? Last slide, as I spoke about the digital workforce automation. This is the one snapshot of intelligent automation platform. What you see at the center is the digital workforce, which I spoke about using RP, attended and unattended, IQ bots, and analytics. We have got productivity packs, and this is very important. The idea is to, morph into your area of work, which means that you do not have to have too much of disruption. Bots could be triggered from Excel, from your PowerPoint, from G Suite, Google Suite application, or from Salesforce. So we have designed it in a way that with minimal disruption, you're able to utilize the bot to take advantage to create more capacity for yourself. Bot store I covered. These are the few applications for which the ready-made bots are available on the bot store. You can go download, plus also you can contribute if you think a certain bot which you have built could be utilized by the industry, do the good, right? Go and upload it. But also, if you see on the right side is on platform, this is also important to showcase that how we deliver these solutions to you. So many of the CFOs who I spoke to and CIO, they said that right now they do not want to spend on the capital expenditure. It's long process, especially now during the COVID era. Could they help? Could we help them in operationalizing this one? Can it be considered? Can a solution be brought forward which could be considered within the OPEX? And that's what we do. We bring our own cloud solution, which is, we call it smart automation as service, where we bring our own infrastructure, and we take the security very seriously as well. So the entire product is bank grade secured, right? Whether the data is at motion or at rest, is fully encrypted with TLS 1.2 and 256-bit encryption. But the idea is that with the using of the cloud solution which we have, you're able to kickstart your automation journey pretty fast. You don't have to wait for procuring the servers and the sorts. Plus with the bot store, you can double fast your automation journey. Plus, we combine with various different third-party applications. We very well respect and we are aware of that many organizations already have various different applications. So we basically work with them to ensure that we are able to provide a holistic end-to-end solution. So that's the view of the platform, which basically enables you to provide end-to-end automation throughout the value chain of any of the processes which I basically highlighted here. On that note, Sanam, I'll take a break and I'll pass it on to you.
Great. Like we came to know into a lot of things that Automation Anywhere has been doing, and the discussion on the bots. It would be great, like if we can show our audience a quick demo or a video on the bot. For that, I've actually emailed you one of our links that we have prepared in. Since you're the host now, I would request you if you can play that one, please. While you share the screen, I would like to give a brief on this video. Like our team had made a preparation, and we are looking forward to help our customers using this particular bot. It's a very quick demo, and we'll be happy, more than happy to go and take you on the calls one-on-one and check and give a quick demo on how it actually works. So yes.
Let me know when you're able to see it.
Absolutely. Yeah, we can see you now.
Okay, I'm going to play it now.
Thank you.
Why invest your productive time in repetitive processes when a bot can do it better? Presenting an accounting bot created by Team Computers.
Problem statement, the business process, and its challenges. The bot first connects with emails, filters them keeping with the subject, and downloads the attachment containing adjustment details. It logs into our Navision ERP system, updating the entries in the general ledger. A maker-checker principle is what we follow. The maker is the RPA bot and the checker is a qualified accountant.
And there's 100% consistency in the posted entries.
So now, we will bring Stephen. Now, we have gone through the theories and a lot of discussions, but let's try to understand from one of the users, how he is getting the benefit of using the bots. So now we'll have a quick fire chat with Mr. Stephen, and he's the head of financial shared services, FLSmith. So Sumit be taking ahead with few questions and we will try to find out how Stephen has experienced this particular platform. So over to you, Sumit.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. Welcome, Stephen. Welcome aboard.
Thank
you
you.
Can hear me?
Sumit. Yes.
Yeah. Sorry for the glitches at the start, but I think we are on to it now.
Yeah.
So would be great if you can just quickly introduce yourself to the audience, and then we can start our conversation.
Yep. So as it was earlier introduced, I lead the shared services for FLSmith. FLSmith is into the EPC business. It's engineering, procurement, and construction, especially for cement and the mining industry. We provide end-to-end solution for cements and minings. I mean, if you look at it, the 60% of cements produced in India is out of FLSmith machines. So we are pioneers in this industry, and we are also growing in mining in India. So this is peculiar. I wanted to stress that because many people think, it is very peculiar to, very data-oriented, processes. How can an engineering company actually use RPA? In our organization, RPA is not only used in finance, it's used across different value chains, including proposals, engineering, procurement, IT, and finance. So that's a quick introduction, Smith.
Thank you, Stephen. Now, with COVID upon us, right? What is the mindset in terms of automation? Like you did mention that it has been cut across your organization, but do you see that it has given this the impetus which is needed to automate the processes to make your organization more resilient? If you have a view on that one, and if you have any use case to basically quote, that would be great.
Yeah. So the need for automation, already existed, and we actually did not wait for a situation like COVID. But if you look at how automation is helping us during this time, really helping us execute our task on a timely basis. So this is actually going to, send a very strong message across organizations. So there has been multiple questions from the group to me on how we have been managing the close working from home, because many of our activities are now performed by the bots. We started with very simple operational task early 2018. We wanted to test it. We were looking at cash application as a POC, and we successfully completed the POC in cash application. So we did phenomenally well in the O2C area, where we automated cash application, and then we looked into billing, and we also automated billing. So it gave us an efficiency of over 30% in this specific area. So if you look at it, our billing process will continue irrespective of your lockdowns. Our cash application continues irrespective of our lockdowns. Our payment to supplier continues because we have completely automated our payment process. The only challenge with our payment process is we have the dynamic password for some of our banks, where you would need a manual intervention to key in those security code from the tokens. So that's the only dependency that we have today, and that is something we cannot eliminate in the payments process. But otherwise, our payments are completely automated. Many of our reports are automated. And if you look at the follow-up mails, either it is following up on a an old aged item, or you follow up on a travel accounting claim to different employees. All these are now triggered through bots. So absolutely no dependency on people on follow-ups. Now, in the last 6 months, we have been investing a lot on IQ bots. So we were very successful in automating the non-PO process for one of our entities. The success rate was really very high, though initially it was around 50%. But as we added more labels and as we were able to train the bots, the accuracy level is 98 to 100%. And this is now, we have set toll gates just to validate, but we will be soon removing the toll gates because we are very confident that the accuracy level is phenomenally high. We also helped our China center to automate their VAT invoice processing. These are Mandarin invoices using IQ bots. This is specific to tax. Fortunately, these tax invoices come in the same format from different suppliers, so that made us a little easy. But the fact is, the way the IQ bot actually captures Mandarin. So that was really very successful. Now we are looking at other areas in China, especially on the PO side. So couple of weeks ago, we went live on a PO processing with three-way matching, where we had a combination of IQ bots and TaskBot. So it's very complex because we have a very complex ecosystem. Whether it is process systems, policies, it's all varied. So it makes our process even more complex. But these bots are really helping us solve some of our problems, clear some of the bottlenecks in the process, and also bring in standardization across our regions. So we have created a very good combination of TaskBot and IQ bot. We receive inputs in different ways, emails, SharePoints, scanned through workflows. So the bots are smart enough to extract data from the emails. And also the IQ bot actually translates those data into a readable format or editable format. And we have the TaskBot. If there are multiple invoices scanned by a different supplier in a same PDF file, so we have trained the TaskBots to actually split those invoices and then post it into the ERP. So it is now completely touchless for one of the entities, and we have now moved into the three-way matching. So we have a workflow. The first pass yield through the workflow was only 30%, but we had 70% fallouts. But using the IQ and TaskBots today, we were able to reduce 50% of the exceptions. So which means today we are 60% pass through and 40% exceptions. And this is the 40% that we will be focusing on. This is behavioral changes we need to bring to the process. We need to fix certain upstream issues, so that these can also get into the first pass yield. So it's really doing a phenomenal work for us, and that is a big bet for us because AP is always big and more transactional. We actually wanted to get out of this invoice processing stuff, but this has really given us a lot of confidence that we could be able to automate most of our invoice processing.
Oh, this is great, Stephen. I think those who are all looking at scaling their automation journey, and we've got 2/3 of the people, actually 1/3 of the people who are doing that, this would be music to their ears in terms of how you're using the cognitive tool in various different processes, including the accounts payable, which you spoke about, and three-way matching. And knowing from the industry you are, right, I think there'll be long document or bill of material which needs to be then mapped with the purchase order and the three-way matching of invoices and all, right? So would be a very painstaking manual process. I believe with help of automation you're able to ease that for your staff.
Yes, absolutely.
One thing also which comes to mind, that what is your advice for those ones who are about to start their automation journey, how they should go for and what they should look at, like which areas, what were your early wins which they can learn from?
Yeah, I wouldn't say there is one best way to look at.
Completely agree.
Yeah.
What worked for you?
Yeah.
Let's put it
But
this way.
the way that we approached, right? So
Yes,
it was process automation was very new to our organization. So it was Greek to them when I went and spoke to them about process automation. But but I've been aware of this process automation. This has been in the industry for the last 15 to 18 years. At least I am aware of certain tools that were available in the market, but not as mature as what we see today. But the question was, always we have seen different tools, but it was not that efficient. There is so much of hype in the market. Does it really work? So actually, we did a lot of research. We attended a lot of forums, and we had a lot of discussion with you guys. Finally, we are really convinced that this tool really works. So we actually wanted to see it and believe it first, so that we can convince other people. And so we created a POC. So we were very clear that we will not hire any technical experts, because we are good in our process. We know our business, we know our process. And looking at the way the RPA codes are written, it was fairly simple. So we actually identified 5 people from our finance team who got trained by Automation Anywhere, and those are the 5 who are today part of our COE, and they are now helping globally, not only finance but across all many other functions. So I mean, what is key here is your process selection. I mean, make sure that you don't fail the first time. So do simple things first, so that you get that confidence to move forward. It's not only for you, but also for the team that is building it, right? So you see success, you get that energy, you get that confidence, you wanted to do more, you want to do more complex things. And your team that is building, who knows the process, comes with a lot of ideas. They start thinking, what are the areas that can be explored. They bring in a lot of thoughts on the table, and then that is when you can slowly move on with complex stuff. I always my approach is start simple, make it successful first time, and then move on. What is very critical here is not the technology. The technology works, technology doesn't fail. What will fail is if you choose a wrong process, if you choose a very complex process, and if you don't put the right SME to design your process, right? So it is not simple that you look at a process and say, okay, you write a code and automate. It's not that simple. You actually need to look at your current process and redesign your to-be process, because you're handing over that process to a bot, and you need to make sure that you have all the right validations and checks, risks analyzed, so that your design is foolproof. I would say 80% on the design, 20% on actually training the bot. So put the right people to build your process design, and that you will definitely be successful.
I couldn't agree more, Stephen. And I think if one more thing, if I can add to what you suggested, is that don't go for exceptions. I think what we have seen is that people, when they start their process, they try to automate that task, which is the most time-consuming, difficult task, right? I think that's designed for humans. I think go for the ones which is high volume and repetitive in nature. Go with that. Don't look at the exceptions to automate, because exceptions could happen once in a quarter or 2 months or 3 months, and you may not be able to find such use cases to the records to test in your test environment.
Right.
So just Steven, one more thing which comes to mind with the lockdown, what we have seen is that finance department used to be, or CFOs used to be more of a financial controller, but now they have been looked upon both CFOs and CIOs are big business enablers, right? We have to keep the lights on. We have to find the smartest and cheapest way to basically get the ship moving. Have you seen that particular trend within your organization, and how technology is helping you to achieve that?
So sorry, I didn't get your question, Sumit. Can you rephrase that, please?
Yeah, no problem, Stephen. So now with COVID, right, because the opportunities are few and far between, everyone is holding tight and waiting in anticipation. Everyone is looking, the organizations are looking inward towards their, CFOs, head of finance, to come up with a solution to keep the lights on, right? To come up with a solution to, and by looking at them, they're looking more of becoming a business enabler rather than just a finance controller. Have you seen that change within your organization, that they're coming out and looking for solutions from your end? And if so, yes, are you using technology to basically to achieve that? I hope I was clear.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, if you look at the given situation, there is a lot of focus on, networking capital and cash flows. I mean, gone are the days where a CFO would wait for a month to look at his results. So today, we are getting bombarded with requests from across all regions asking for so many reports, trend analysis. They started questioning, why do you have a 4-day or a 5-day SLAs? It has to be immediate. So these are putting a lot of pressure on us, because we cannot add headcounts, but we have to deliver what we need to deliver as what is requested by the different CFOs. So the only option left for us is to how we can bring in these intelligent automation to serve to their needs. So they wanted to understand customer behavior, sales trend, whether it is products, aftermarket, how we are doing on a daily basis. So vast amount of data and information, right? So today, we are not able to automate everything quickly, but we have fairly scaled up. But there is lots to catch up. But definitely, there is a lot of inward push that is coming in.
Thank you. I think Sanam, we're almost out of time, if I'm not wrong. Let me know how we are going.
Right.
So, Stephen, some takeaway, like if you want to give, 2 or 3 major takeaways for our audience in terms of their automation. You did mention, but if you want to reiterate and highlight a couple of points and major takeaways for them who are basically looking at, or let me put you in spot, okay? One takeaway for the ones who are starting and one takeaway for the ones who are scaling.
Yeah. For the ones who are starting, please start. For the ones who have not started, please
I
start.
like that.
Because the technology really works, and you will be surprised to see how these bots are really working. For those who are actually scaled up, who are ready to move from transactional to more strategic and transformational areas, I think that is where they need to focus. So when we started, we looked at activities, and then we scaled up to a process, and then we looked at a complete value chain, right? I mean, I can give you one quick example.
Yeah, please. I think to make it more relevant. Yeah, absolutely.
So if we had a process, this was specific to India. So we have, it actually took us 56 days to invoice our customer. And when your market, when there is a downturn in market, there is a lot of pressure to bring in cash into the organization. And when you're not even billing your customer for 56 days, that's a very inefficient process. So DI, from the time you give a delivery instruction to raising an invoice to a customer, right? You have to cut across various functions, project management, supply chain, your transportation, and finance, tax. So we actually built in a process, right? So every initiative that is taken will have an automation. A bot will have a major role to play in these when you enable such process. So we built in a solution to monitor this process end to end, where the bots actually pick information where it actually monitors all the invoices when it flows. So when an invoice is stuck more than, for example, if you've defined it is 2 days that needs to take to create a draft invoice. And if it is more than 2 days, it actually sends a trigger out and puts a nice metric around, who are the defaulters. So, creating such visibility and, a very strong communication between each of these functions, we were able to reduce the billing cycle time to 15 days within 4 months. So
Wow.
initially, when we started, there were a lot of questions raised on it. This will add up to our work. It's going to be very manual. But then we had to tell them that most of this task will be done by bots. So now it is really working well. So I think we slowly need to scale up and see how you can you look at a complete value chain. That's when you actually start adding value to the organization.
Couldn't agree more, Stephen. So now, if I can sum it up, it's about those guys who are looking at starting or on the starting line, take the plunge, and that's the only way of moving forward. And the ones who are scaling, I think they already have experience behind in terms of building the bots. It's now about looking at providing solutions, right, to the problem. Like you spoke about, one of the problem was that it was taking some 56 days to get the money in, now which you were able to basically then reduce it to only a few days, right? That's solving a problem for the business and increasing the cash flows, right, and making our books look stronger. So I think that's the view, keeps customer in the center of your solution, empathize with them, and bots will develop as a result of it. So on that note, Stephen, thank you, appreciate your time, and thanks for taking us through the journey and giving some really insightful information plus very practical use cases. So I appreciate that. Over to you, Sanam.
Thank you, Stephen, on this. And it was we are going out of time, but it was really great listening to you. And I didn't want to stop you from telling your viewpoints and your experience with us. So before we move on to our question answer session, I would like our audience to go ahead and share their views on two of the quick questions that we have for them. So Sandeep, can we have the polling questions, please? So it's also would be viewed to the panelists. So what is the most important for you in achieving results from automation? So
Stephen, let me bring you in over here, right? So I think looking at where the audience is in their journey, what are your takes? What do you think would be the response on this question?
See, there is no one expectation, right? I mean, if you talk about only productivity, that definitely is not the only area that organization is looking at. So we look at productivity, quality, and compliance, very high focus, right? So gone are the days where you were talking about 90% accuracy. Today, expectation is 100% accuracy. So so these are the top two things. I think it's a combination, right? I mean,
and you see the results. I think they spoke. I think you influence the results. Let me put it that way. I think they read your mind, and that's exactly what it is: increase productivity and improve quality and compliance. I have drafted these questions. So one of the options was also there was customer satisfaction, and that used to be the top three responses. Increase productivity, customer satisfaction was second, and improve quality and compliance. So that's how I've seen the order. Thank you,
wonderful. Yeah, thank you. So Sandeep, I think we can take this up. So do we Sumit, do you see any kind of question answer?
No, I don't see questions here. There are a couple of questions like pros and cons of attended and unattended automation. I think we covered that in detail in the presentation. And is there any scenario of RPA crashes? We can pick this one up. See, RPA, and Stephen, feel free to jump in here as well from your practical experience perspective. RPA crashes, let me give you an example. When I was automating processes in one of the banks, one day we received a call saying that all the bots have not working. They have crashed. That's the exact word they use. We did some we did some investigation, and we realized that it was not that bot was not working. It's that the Office patch which came through, Microsoft Office patch, that basically was corrupted. So the story became that bot basically corrupted the Office patch which came through, right? So it's always communication is the key. Your bots will work on the application at the presentation layer. They don't touch the present application layer or database layer. So unless there is a challenge in the application layer, I don't see the bots crashing. Over to you, Stephen.
Yeah, absolutely. That was our first learning as well. We went live, and 1 week after going live, it actually crashed. But the actual reason was because there were some patches that was run. So normally, you don't get that many patches that will change your UI, but it very rarely happens, where there is a slight change in the UI and the bots did not work. So that was the learning. So we actually had an agreement with IT, that going forward, any such patches, they will have to run it with us in the test systems first, so that we are prepared. So yeah, I would say that's a good question. We definitely need to be aware of that, and definitely communicate that with IT.
Not a problem. This last question, Salam will take that one, and then later on we can respond post the session. And Stephen, I think that's directed to you. I'll read it out for you. It says, since finance is as crucial in any organization as blood in a body. So there you go, right? Finance and biology is combined in this. How much you bang on over the digitization and automation implementation in finance department, keeping in mind a micro discrepancy can destroy the organizational financially and its integrity. Some heavy mix of emotions and language at the same time.
Yeah. So that was, I was very clear when I was explaining, about the process design, right? So what bots are going to bots are going to replace humans, right? What humans were doing, bots are going to replace. So how well you train the bot is what matters. If you don't train the bots well, and if you don't put in the right validations and controls in your process, like how humans fail, bot will also fail. So it is very critical, like any finance function, when you design a process, build in the right validation, build in the right control, look at, do a risk analysis, what could fail, what could be the impact, and build in those mitigating controls. It is absolutely required, right? So we talk about transaction. If one invoice is wrongly paid, that is a financial loss to the organization. So how do we ensure that the bots have actually processed the invoice right, or actually put that dollar into the bank's website right? So that is the validation that we need to build in, using these bots. So that's what we have done.
That's great. I think I completely resonate with you. I think bots mimics humans. We just got to train them as well as we can. And again, as I said, avoid any exceptions there. Go with your happy path where you have the maximum volume going through. On that note, Sanam, we'll pass it on to you. Thank you.
Absolutely. So I think we are done with the questions. So we'll keep this session to an end. And I would like to thank you, everyone. Like, we are very humbled by the attendance we had at such short notice. Thanks to all those you who have participated and helped in making this webinar a success. I'm sorry about some inconvenience on the technical side on few occasions. Once again, thank you, audience, for holding up with us. A special thanks to you, our panelists, especially to Stephen, who took out some time from his busy schedule for our audience and shared his experience. We learned so much from your deep insights. It was a pleasure to host you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you all.